Everyone's talking about relocating. Everyone's looking at where they live, why they live there as a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, I mean, we've done the same thing, right? We're looking around our less than 600 square feet, thinking how, we pay more than a mortgage in my home state.
Yeah. You pay a premium. Like all my stand-up comedian friends in New York City, they paid a premium to be doing stand-up in New York, and that's not happening. So every moving company is just moving people out of Brooklyn.
Why would people want to live in a high cost of living place if their jobs are now figuring out how to make it work with remote workers?
So we just watched Graham Stephan. He has a YouTube video about why he's leaving California. So as a quick update, Graham Stephan, I'm already talking like him. He does a lot of this, like moving his hands.
This is your new every time.
He got like Trump hands, but he's a nice guy. He's a multimillionaire, young 30-year-old real estate guy.
Started out in real estate in
Los
Angeles.
Now he quit his real estate to really just work on his YouTube because he's blown up so much. And his video, why he's leaving California, is only 2 days old. It's got 1 million views. I mean, the dude's making hundreds of thousands a month.
Which, by the way, like him or Tara Michelle, like somebody who's left the city, like we could use an upgraded space if you want to rent us your apartment affordably. Like if you're trying not to price gouge somebody.
Yeah,
we're
Graham,
really
I'll
good
water your
tenants.
flowers. What do you need? Come on.
We're really nice, reliable people, and we'll take good care of your place if you want to give us an affordable apartment.
So he made this whole, I wanted to call him out, but in a way where I wouldn't change what he's doing. I would do what he's doing if I was in his shoes, but I still wanted to call him out because he's leaving California, and he mentioned all these reasons why, but it boils down to him saying basically, look, I can make my money anywhere.
Live here.
I'm going to save $400,000 by moving to a no income tax state. So he's moving 4 hours that way. He's just going down the road. I mean, imagine if I was like, Tasha, I need you to move to Vegas for 400
people,
grand.
I mean, a friend of mine was raised in Vegas. Vegas is a nice, like, housing is relatively affordable. You've got nice weather.
Right.
Like, Vegas is fun. You still have like city vibes the way you do here. You have good shopping.
Yeah,
good
you go to the burlesque show. You can go see Carrot Top, whatever, and you can have a double the size place for half the money. But so we did the math. You could literally take a private jet, get a seat on one of those private jets,
like Jet Suite X.
Yeah,
or something.
to Vegas and back for $1,000 every weekend, and still save $350,000 a year. So obviously, where we are, we're not slaying it at that level. Subscribe, hit the like button, whatever. But
watch a whole.
And I know
ad.
someone's gonna be like, "You're talking about him to ride his coattail." Buckle up, we're riding coattails. That's all YouTube is me. Oh, you want me to talk about Joe Rogan? I'll put him in the tags. But he's moving there with his girlfriend, but he goes, the funniest part, it's like, look, call it what it is. Yeah, I understand. Your tax money is not worth what, I mean, we can't walk the dog in the alleyway. We talk about it too much, but there's needles everywhere and homeless guys, and our dumpster was blown up twice
this month.
Twice. It's chaos, but we benefit. I benefit from living in Los Angeles because I need to sell a script. I need to go meet somebody. I'm in that bubble still, but
baby,
now
you best believe the second you sell a script, or the second that YouTube is making enough money, or my blog or whatever, that we can live anywhere else.
Yeah, of course.
Get us the F out of here.
I would just as much love us to keep this studio for when we're in town and just show up, be in town, and then leave. I'd be happy on an Airstream, just hitting up barbecue joints on Route 40.
Ooh, baby.
I'm all about it. But right now we're here, and of course with stand-up closed, there's no performing for me live, and we've just been, so I get what he's talking about, wanting to leave. The funniest part though, he goes at the very end of the video, like 11 and a half minutes in, he goes, just so no one worries, I'm going to keep the same set in my new Vegas house as I will in my Los Angeles house, just so it doesn't change anything up. And then I'm thinking, oh bro, you're just going to be in California. You're going to be in your current...
say he has permanent residence in Vegas.
Yeah,
and
because
be here most of the time.
He makes all of his money from the same like garage.
I mean,
setup.
he could absolutely just build the same studio there.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd put green paint.
IRS can't tell which videos are filmed
and
where.
But then we were thinking, like,
get yourself a VPN.
Yeah, we were thinking, does the IRS know, like, well, you uploaded these videos from California, you're paying state tax, and also we say IRS, but this is state income tax, which is 13%. So at his amount of money he's making, it's $400,000 a year. This doesn't even factor in federal taxes, so that you're already giving your money away there. And a lot of people in the comments say, oh, I used to live in California, I pieced out. Like, it's a it's a complicated situation. We don't need to get into.
California is a nice place.
We spent the afternoon hiking with deer going, but we were in Altadena.
I let my fantasies run wild about properties here, places to live, nice neighborhoods, not just the beach,
It's almost
nice
like
little rural family neighborhoods.
If the taxes, if they could just audit the whole situation and just fix it, then it would be like, of course people want their taxes to go to good things. It's just, they built a building right here for homeless. It's not going to help 20 people. It's like the issue's so much greater. And it also annoys me that because there isn't like purchasing power with all the states, that someone would be like, peace out, going to Texas. And it's like, cool. But if every state adopted similar sort of social policies, we wouldn't have like people taking a train from Portland to LA. There's no train. Taking a bus from Portland to LA.
I don't know that that's like, I mean, everyone says that that's what people do. They like ship their homeless to California. I don't know if that's really true. But besides all that, taxes and services and whatever, it's just very unaffordable to live here. It's very unaffordable, and it's a complicated problem. We've heard that like it's really hard for developers to build here because it's just very expensive to build here, and there's a lot of like zoning issues, but it's just very expensive to live. And I think a lot of young people who are already sort of disillusioned because they lived through the first housing crisis and recession, millennials graduating college at a time when there are no jobs available. I mean, it's literally set them back.
Wage gap, middle class is gone.
The majority of millennials have been set back for a lifetime. They will earn less than their parents, the first generation to not earn more or have a better standard of living than their parents.
Wealth only is built through generational, inheriting, really.
Well, and
I mean, don't get me wrong, there's exceptions, but we're talking about like people that can't freaking
But we're talking about like a generation of people that like had to move to cities to find jobs, right? Had to, because the jobs just weren't available in their rural community. So they moved to these high cost of living places to just be able to have a job and earn some money. And maybe they're earning higher wages because they are living in a higher cost of living place. But it's not keeping up with like the way home values are going. Like we cannot save fast enough to be able to afford. When your home's going up 10% in value every year, like inflation's just it's not keeping up. You can't save fast enough to live here. So I think for a lot of young people who are serious about, just trying to like put down roots with the benefit of being able to work remotely, it's an opportunity for them to be able to move somewhere else and actually make it happen. Buy a home, put down roots, start a family. But it's like,
it's just weird that someone like Rogan, who I respect his decision, can, signs a $100 million contract, probably more, with Spotify. And of course, he makes a lot more than that with all of his other projects. So by moving to Texas, his $18 million mansion paid for on the decision to go from this piece of land to that piece of land. And you can't fault someone for playing the system. Like Graham said in his video, it's not becoming like, you don't see the fruits of your taxes being paid off. You see it getting worse. My buddy, I've got buddies that have companies in other states. We talked about this with the Panama Papers, how like in Delaware, you can have a PO box for your corporation. So Clinton and 1,500 other politicians all have the same, mailbox at some apartment building in Delaware. Is this what, that's a completely different issue, but it's like the semantics of state by state issues means there's no like solving any of these problems. It's like California should have that money spent in a much better way, but it's just getting worse. The pandemic just exposes the greater issue. So you've got people that are making their money online saying, you know what, I'm out. And a lot of comics do this. They move to cities where there's a good, so many comics, before the pandemic, you're on the road all the time. You're better off living in Columbus, Ohio.
Man, I mean, and for the money you would spend to buy a literal fallen over shack here could buy you a mansion anywhere else on acreage. We could have a basset hound farm, babe. We could have an orchard and a basset hound.
All right, hit the subscribe button. We're getting basset hound. But you got Dave Chappelle, one of the greatest comedians of all time, right? He lives in Ohio. He's got a commune in Ohio. But when last time I saw him was in Santa Monica in a sports car, a 2-seated sports car with 2 chicks in a mini dresses. I'm like, oh, this dude's living, right? By being able to be footloose and free, you're able to travel to different places. And I wouldn't, if someone offered me the chance to move out of California for that type of price, I'd probably take it. But we're here pursuing our dreams. We're here rubbing elbows with other people in the entertainment industry, and it's like, no, I don't want anyone to feel bad for my life decisions. We met and lived in New York City. There is a beauty to living in a city. There's art. It's just right now with all that stripped away because of the pandemic, you take away
it used to kind of balance out. You're like, oh, I kind of live in a dump. It's really small. I'm broke all the time, but I have all of these wonderful things that I get to take advantage of because I live in like the center of a very cultural city.
Yeah.
And now all of those things are gone. So it's really, it's a stark contrast.
No offense to Northern Kentucky, but you would lose your mind with the, well, should we go to the Dress Barn or the Starbucks today? Which one? I love Dress Barn and Starbucks. You know what I mean? But you lose your identity in certain parts of the country where it's been taken over by all the same companies with the same fonts. It's all the same.
Not if you have the funds to build your own compound. And I think that's like what the dream is.
Yeah.
Like buy yourself some acreage, have your basset hound family, have your orchard, and build up everything that you need. I need a big ass swimming pool.
Well, that's what
you need a margarita bar.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
I want white trash heaven.
We can put a nice podcast studio in the garage.
So I'll tell you what, I'll bring the tequila. Invite us to your Las Vegas lair there, Graham Stephan. But seriously, I would do what he's doing. But like, I also wouldn't have the ability to wax poetic about the reasons. It's like, come on, buddy, you're saving a lot of money. You're getting out of town. I mean, so much money that he's not even getting rid of his vacation home, which is his LA residence. So like, I get it. It's like, look, I don't pay much in taxes. Here we are. But God, I look forward to that day when I can make that decision. Just put on that 50 gallon hat. How many gallons? 10 gallon. I want a 50 gallon. I want the Dumb and Dumber version. I want to be out there, like, only buy the essentials. I come out with a pogo stick, one of those sticks, and the big old hat, and yeehaw, baby. I'll go to the stockyards right away. I'll be eating brisket all day. But yeah, you've got Doug Stanhope, a very funny stand-up comedian based in Bisbee, New Mexico. And he's just bought it. I mean, buy these homes for like $5,000. These he's got like 8 homes. He has a compound. That's where he does his thing. And it would be nice to get to that part. That's where we're going in some ways with the gig economy, where we're going to places where you want to be able to work from anywhere. You want to be, I would love it if you get hooked up with some gig in Cork, Ireland. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to find a comedy club in Cork, Ireland. And I'm going to be that weird American who has the funny accent to them. Like, sure, I would love that. We're circus performers, Tasha. That's all we are. It's like, right. We're setting up where, you get the hairy armpits. You'll be the chick with the hairy armpits. We're circus performers. But it's like we're so dug into this life that there is no going back to corporate or like some company that's going to provide you healthcare. That's just not in the books. So it's like, double down on living your dreams and don't be tethered to anything or anywhere that's going to stop that. That's the one thing this pandemic has reminded me.
Yeah, I think for me, it's really forced me to have to like define my goals, like well defined. And then you get creative, right? Because when your goals are loosey-goosey and you just kind of want a little bit of everything and you're free and going with the flow and just whatever will all work itself out, that's great. That's a fun way to live your life, but you're not taking defined and actionable steps to achieve your goal. So when you can well define your goal, when you can fine tune, like zoom in on exactly what it is you want, then you can see clear pathways on how to get there, on how to achieve these goals. So you start getting creative and working towards them. I'm
going to work with what you just said. I'm reading this book. I wasn't going to promote it. It's not a sponsor. It's called The 90-Day Screenplay. And you know what I love about this, aside from being 5 days behind? I'm on day 86. What I love about this is there's all these days where they have you write certain things about your screenplay you're writing. It has nothing to do with the screenplay. And the guy says, Alan Watt, that you're better off knowing information about your characters and not needing it versus not having that at your creative disposal. So there's days when I'm writing about the protagonist and the antagonist, and I'm always wondering, like, Tasha, if you randomly found what I'm writing, you would think I'm a nut because I'm writing as the protagonist, but I'm like, my parents didn't love me because this and that, and you write it, you know, this whole backstory, and the key to it is you're building this world in your mind so that when it comes to writing the actual story, your subconscious is doing all the work. So with visualization, it's important to talk about wanting that villa in Italy. It's important to shout from the rooftop all of your goals that we want to be able to make $50,000 a month on YouTube. That's important because you need to be able to know that and stew that in the crock pot of self-actualization. I say crock pot because we're making bok choy tonight and I can smell it.
Yeah, baby.
So you want that crock pot of life working. So when I'm just living my daily life, we had Petra Kolber on the podcast, previous episode, click it, find it. She wrote The Perfection Detox, and she talked about rumination and how to stop ruminating. Rumination or ruminating? How to stop it. So your brain will think of the same obsessive thoughts 90% of the day. Well, what if you made those thoughts positive? What if you made them the $50,000 a month?
Turn all that brain power onto your dreams and aspirations.
So I have to do that by writing the screenplay just to be like, oh yeah, that's how, I'm building this world in my head so that the creative flow can almost write itself. I'm just kind of creating the outline for it, and then I'll let my subconscious work on it. And that's what we're doing by visualizing. We're letting our subconscious work on these creative goals that we have while putting the work in as well. You can't just be thinking of a YouTube hit. You got to make the video. You got to do all the work and all that, and then it'll all pay off. So I think we kind of hit the end of that topic, but the case study for talking about this on our podcast, episode 411, I believe this is, which is insane.
Wow.
Just racking them up. By the way, if anyone wants, I'll leave a link to all the podcasts, the full podcast playlist, but also the clips, so you can check those out if you want to watch the video version. A lot of times people will find a podcast, it'll be a good story, but then they got to go do laundry. Well, you can just go to sexactuallypodcast.com or just type in the SAP. SAP is short for Sex Actually Podcast. So just type in the SAP on any podcast app and you'll get all these episodes. So you can listen to the audio version there. I prefer YouTube at this point because they're actually paying us ad revenue. I'm just done promoting the audio. I know a lot of people will listen first, which is fine. But if you do want to comment on the discussion, go to the YouTube and leave a comment there. But yeah,
help us out in the algorithm.
Yeah, and I don't say any of this. I don't talk about any of this for any guilt. I mean, I'm so fortunate that we had mentioned in the previous video that my subscribers just doubled this week. It took me 5 years to get to 2,500 subscribers.
You're on a roll, baby. Maybe you can double again next week.
Please do. Jeez. I mean,
let's say some prayers.
It took me 5 years to get to 2,500 subscribers, and I'm at 5,500 a week later, 10 days later. So yeah.
High five.
2 weeks later. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes. So the 50,000 a month, it's an option. It's something where they were trying to spread our message, but we would like to, be footloose and free and travel and be able to share our message of, kind of almost being the proof to the pudding of self-actualizing and building our own product, as it were, and sharing the good news and all that jazz. So I want to promote Tasha's new blog that we do called wearetada.travels.com. Tada is Tasha and Dave. Wearetada.travels.com is a blog. Tasha's writing all these blogs about our trips to Thailand, Colombia,
Catalina, Mexico,
all the
Canada.
random fun places we've gone. It's been
in the
a
past
good
few years,
project that has been a seed you've planted and talked about.
Yeah, I mean, it's really always been my passion, and I just never had the time or energy or bravery to kind of actually take the reins and go after it. But the quarantine pandemic left me with lots of time on my hands. You got that
nice laptop. You got the nice little doodle device for your graphic design.
Some creative outlet. So I finally took the leap, and I made a new website with a new blog. I'm going back through the archives of our photos and our trips, and unfortunately we have lost photos for a couple trips from a hard drive failure, but
don't buy your laptop on Craigslist.
But
your laptop shouldn't smell like melted plastic. That's when you lost your hard drive.
I really am proud of the stuff that I'm putting out so far, and I would love your support if you wanted to go check it out. I also am posting the podcast there, so you could just bookmark my podcast page on the website, and you'll know when a new podcast comes out
and
if
maybe
you click that link.
Maybe Tasha has nude photos on there too if you need any enticement to go to her. They're like, what's it called? wearetodotravels.com. Look really hard. You might find some in there. You find a chubby Dave after I ate 5 days of Thai rice. Boy, that didn't work out well for me. So and along with that, if anyone wants any bonus content, our home is over at patreon.com/thesap, patreon.com/thesap. What I love about the solo or the private Patreon episodes is I get to play music on Spotify and kind of be more of like a DJ. I don't have to deal with licensing issues, so I can just have fun, play my new favorite songs, rant with people. Sometimes I'll just turn the mic on, my lav mic, and take the dog for a walk and yell at people. It's been a couple years now that we've done the Patreon, and it's honestly just been a great tool. It's paid for all of our lighting and camera and Rodecaster Pro products. So everyone who's been a member of the Patreon, either a current member or you've donated in the past, it is not without amazing amounts of gratitude that I really do thank you. Every time we do get a new Patreon member, I get this cool alert, and it's like this Pavlovian. I just get excited. I get excited when, you know this, Tasha, from when you've seen days when I made $3 on YouTube, getting a $5 donation. Last year's Bachelor recap videos, I remember someone like Venmoed me $3. You know,
Yeah.
I was super excited. And then you get a day on YouTube where I had a couple of weeks ago, I talked about this on the Patreon and shared the numbers, but I had like 3 or 4 days in a row. What do those numbers say? I think 4 days in a row that I hit $400 ad revenue. And again, that stopped. I made $10 today. It stopped. It's a global pandemic, but it was cool to see some videos take off and be able to be like, okay, there's the sort of sample of what can happen. Now let's keep working.
Yeah, like a small little breadcrumb encouragement to keep going, like a reward, like, oh, all this hard work that you have been putting in is finally starting to pay off. And
it sounds very basic to say that, but as I told you on our hike earlier, I mean, I told my buddy Channing this. I was like, man, I outperformed Tasha for a week. I felt good. I felt like a guy. I felt like I was because so much of what we do, so much of what I do with stand-up comedy and writing, it's all iceberg stuff. None of that stuff. You're not the profits in all the hard work and the sweat equity and all the things that you're doing in 10 years in Screen Actors Guild. I mean, there isn't much. I got a couple little things I'm proud about, but there's a lot that I can't really be like, did it. And it's nice to have some fruits of the labor, as you will. But anyway, we're at an hour. Tasha's at Tasha Courtney on Instagram. Mm-hmm. We are to.travels.com.
Yes, please come check out the blog. Leave me. I thought I turned on comments, but I'm not sure that it's actually working. I've been doing a lot of like back end stuff on the website, trying to optimize it and get it ranked on Google search. But yeah, please come check it out, read a few blogs, and leave me some comments. I would really appreciate it.
Tasha's in charge of our Instagram at the.sap. So go over there. We both post there, but Tasha's running the ship. And I'm at DNealz, DNEALZ. If anyone needs a good laugh, you can find my stand-up comedy playlist on YouTube. It's been a while since I've told a joke live. I think I forgot how to do it. But hopefully sooner or later we can get out of this mess and be better for it. So that was the episode. Bye, everybody.